Hi, welcome in. Welcome back to Cardinal Rose Tarot. Just getting situated here to do a live stream for the day. And it's a little bit more of just commentary from me as somebody that's investigating a few things about worlds that I intersected with here online and on YouTube mainly. I'm not going to do a whole ton of background just because that's annoying to have to do every time. But the reason I'm doing this follow-up part 2 is because I noticed that the podcast that I shared by the American legal scholars that have their own podcast called Excited Utterance Podcast has now set their video to private, the one that I shared and that I provided commentary on because I thought the content was really important. So it's clear that they didn't like or want the attention that my sharing of their work brought to them. Either that or they weren't prepared for it. I don't know. I'm speculating about why they took it down. I have several speculations and I'm going to speculate about it because I'm disappointed that they took the video down. But I also don't know why. And so I want to try to be, accepting of that. Like, it's not my content. They have a right to do with their content what they want. But I don't understand why they're producing a podcast if they don't want people to talk about it. And so I have a few different speculations about why they took it down. The first one being perhaps they're trying to protect the attorneys that they interviewed, because women of color who dare to sort of go out on limbs in society and take strong positions on things academically, either because they're smart and they want to share their wits with the community, or because they're serious and they want their work to benefit the community. Regardless, women of color really get attacked for that kind of work. And there's a possibility that my highlighting them, their names were in the title. I don't know, maybe they don't want that kind of attention on them with their name out there, right? So that's one idea. And if that's the case, my apologies to them for kind of putting them on blast. But I also just have to say, podcasts are for people to listen to. And I thought that was a good podcast, which is why I wanted to share it, to spread the word. Because like another commenter in one of my chats came on and said, I'm sure these people, they only have like 40 subscribers. And that's true. And maybe they're only talking to other attorneys. And that's why they don't want me chiming in as a card reader, right? That's the other speculation that I had. Was it okay, like right-wing true crime content creators, if I have a good take on a crime, but I'm left-wing, right-wing isn't going to want to use my content because they're too preoccupied with whether the content itself is good. They don't want to share it if it's going to give any kind of boost or traction to left-leaning ideas. I think, I don't know where I was going with that. I lost it. But I'm disappointed because I don't understand why you would be producing and putting work out there since 2016, trying to get people informed and educated and talking about the rules of evidence, and then when there's one that's as important as the one that they did, they took it down. I don't really get it, but I also do get it. That's where I lost my thread before. Just like I suspected that's where my content before wasn't being shared, was because it was far left. And now I'm sort of like, well, why did they take it? Because they don't want to be affiliated with a card reader, because they feel like that hurts their academic reputation. If they think that a card reader's out there with a bullhorn, like maybe that's going to hurt them in terms of their intellectual reputation. That's a speculation on my part that comes from an insecure part of me that has really had to find my own confidence to just do this work as an academic person, because I had to go unpack all of that too. So that's why I'm speculating about them. Because when I started to like come out to the world as someone into esotericism and a witch and card reading, most of my background was with atheist men in the punk rock scene and stuff, or women too, that were atheists, right? That believe in academic thinking and they don't believe in spiritual or esoteric thinking. And so I was really worried when I started doing this work that it was going to hurt me reputationally as a clinician, because this is considered non-serious. This is considered non-academic. Atheism sort of often feels like it has the market cornered on intellectualism, and if you're not an atheist, but you want to produce intellectual work, you're not going to be taken as seriously because you believe in the fake Sky King or whatever, right? So that's another speculation that I had about maybe they saw what I did, appreciated it, but didn't like that it's someone like me, so they just went ahead and hid their video rather than risk being associated with someone like me and harm their academic reputation. And if that's the case, I think that sucks too. But whatever, I don't know. I truly have no idea why they didn't like that I shared their video and they took it down. So I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna apologize to them. My apologies. I'm sorry that I shared your video without asking your permission. I was so enchanted by the material in a good way that I was like, finally, I have something that can back what I'm trying to say, because I often don't have the acumen verbally to get my intellectual ideas out without getting rattled, because I'm a trauma survivor, because of all different kinds of reasons, because I get nervous about trying to talk about intellectual topics sometimes, right? So anyways, there's another reason I'll just kind of come to my notes. The other reason I thought is maybe they're not because I've had this happen to me personally with my own channel, when all of a sudden I start thinking, oh, holy shit, what if this goes viral? Like, what if my channel starts to go viral, or I have a viral reading, or I suddenly get a whole bunch more eyes on me than I have? I've had to work through that, because I've noticed a few times when I thought it might be happening that I was freaked out and scared, and I wanted to back out of this whole thing and not do this channel anymore. So it might be something like that too, that they weren't prepared for the attention and maybe feedback that they were going to get because I shared it. So that's another thing. I don't know, right? And so I just want to say that it was triggering for me when I saw that they took it down, because part of what bothers me about higher education and academia is the very effect that it has of creating an ivory tower, where once you're speaking about things and you're educated on them and you have all this academic language, it alienates you from people that don't have that. And it makes you seem like a fucking snob, straight up. It does. And I feel that way too, towards other academic people that don't want to sully their academic reputation by collabing with someone who cusses a lot or smokes weed or has a tarot channel or whatever. And maybe this has nothing to do truly with what their thoughts were, but because I have my own background with that, I start worrying about it, and it frustrates me. It's like, dudes, you're having all this scholarship, you've had this podcast since 2016, you're sharing all this great information and saying you're doing it to share it with the public so that it demystifies the legal process. So now here, all of a sudden, you're getting some traction and somebody's saying, yeah, I'm on to what you're doing and I like it and I want to boost it, and then you take it down. Like, now I'm twisting in the wind because I just made all these arguments and now your video's gone. So that's okay, because I can make my own arguments from my own discipline. I don't need their podcast. But when you're trying to make arguments like the arguments I'm making, you need citations, okay? Not just me saying this is what I feel. I need to base it in something. And so I was really happy to have that podcast, and then disappointed that they took it down. So that's what I wanted to comment and say, to once and for all, to clarify, I have no affiliation with the American Legal US Excited Utterance podcast. They don't know me. They've never asked me to share their content. They seem to not like that I have shared their content. I don't know them. My main reason for wanting to uplift their content was because I think it's good quality. I think it was potentially being overshadowed by something that I wondered was maybe nefarious. And so that's what I'm doing, okay? But whatever, I'm sad that they took it down. I'm going to move on now and talk a little bit about why I started exploring whether this is even a conspiracy. And this goes back now to the other legal channels that I intersected with and had a conflict with because I felt like they stole my content. So when that was happening, at some point I just decided this is a bunch of fuck shit. It's distracting me from my own goals and my own life. What do I spending all this time following this saga that really doesn't involve me? I'm intellectually interested in it, but it doesn't involve me. I have my own shit going on in my life and I need to refocus on that. So I pulled way out. I was like, I don't want to war with these weird people who they hide their identity. I don't know who Dolly Talk is. I don't know who Hella is. And they're not being transparent about who they are. So why am I wasting my time debating with them or trying to, I don't know what their agenda is. I don't know who sponsors them. And it's a waste of my energy and my intellectual work, right? If I'm going to keep engaging with them, maybe they're going to keep ripping off my energy and benefiting from it, right? So I'm going to distance myself. I'm not going to engage in their content anymore, is what I was thinking. But another person that is somehow related to them, and it's a YouTube channel called MLS Law or Making Law Simple, has also noticed me. I guess because I was criticizing them and he's somehow involved in their content too. And so he's been watching me. And he came on and was like, said something like, I told Dolly Talk and Hella specifically not to do tarot. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what that means. Who are you? And why would you tell them not to do tarot? And I don't even know why you would be telling them not to do tarot. I don't know what you're talking about. And so then I moved on and was talking about some other things. And then in the chat, he asked me, I was saying, fuck them. I don't like them. I don't want anything to do with them. I'm moving on now. I feel they stole my content, but I'm not going to waste any more time on it. I'm just going to move on. But this other person is now involving themselves. And so he was like, well, you're still cool with me, right? And I'm like, who are you? I don't know who you are. How would I be cool or not cool with you? I didn't even know who Hella and Dolly Talk were. And so I don't know who you are. You guys are this whole part of this group that I don't know who you are. But you seem to be watching me and have a lot to say about what I'm doing and thinking and whatever, right? I have a very small following compared to them. So I don't know what interested them in me. I don't know why. I don't know where this is all even coming from. But this guy now comes on and starts following some of my work and chiming in periodically. So I got curious about him. I'm like, who's making law simple? Who is this guy? How does he relate to Dolly Talk and Hella, right? He's saying, he also offered, like, I'll disclose to you who is backing them if you want. Don't you care? Don't you want to know? Yeah, I do. I do want to know. But then he didn't disclose it. He just kept, like, creating all this mystery around it and joking around about, it's like, I don't know who you are, dude. I'm not trying to participate in something that I don't know what it is. I don't know who this group of people are. They're hiding their identities. I don't know who he is, Making Law Simple. So I started researching. Who is that? Who is Making Law Simple? Who is behind that YouTube channel? Who is that guy, right? And I found that his name is David Helm, and he's an attorney that works out of Michigan. And he was involved in a case that a few families brought suit against the governor, Gretchen. I always forget what her last name is. Whitmer. So back during COVID, Gretchen Whitmer as governor made some decisions based on the science that was coming out at the federal level. And this attorney, David Helm, ended up representing some families that didn't feel that her decisions about lockdown and whatever were constitutional. They felt like their rights were being violated by being forced into a stay-at-home orders. It was running their business into the ground. So this guy got involved and represented them and brought suit against her. That's who Making Law Simple is. It's this guy. It's David Helm. He is also related somehow to Dolly Talk and Hella. I don't know how. I don't know if he sponsors them. I don't know if all of them are sponsored by a conservative law group, but he's fairly conservative, I think it's safe to say. I also, though, think he's interested, maybe he's like a libertarian or something, right? Like he's about personal liberty above all. And anarchism and libertarianism have some things in common, but I'm not a libertarian because there are problems with libertarianism in my opinion. But I'm not doing an upload about that right now, okay, or a live about that. So that's who he is. And I'm just going to name that here and say this is why I started wondering, like, what is this group about? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to, like, get traction for a conservative legal agenda in the YouTube sphere? Is it not even that? Is it not even that big and it's not even that deep and it's just nothing? Maybe, I'm totally open to that. I'm totally open to that. This is just some group of people with like mind that decided to make a bunch of snark content, end of story. That's possible. But part of me thinks that there's more to it, which is why I started going with the conspiracy angle. To finish, I just want to clarify, like, I don't think David Helm is evil or bad or, Turning Point USA, Russian op or whatever necessarily because he sued the governor of Minnesota during COVID. I don't think that, okay? I worked in hospice during COVID. It was fucking traumatic as fuck. It's partly why I'm in private practice at this point, because the pandemic, I had already been in my field for going on 30 years. The pandemic pushed me over the edge in terms of my own secondary trauma, and I couldn't serve the community at the same capacity anymore. I just couldn't do it. Just ask the other medical professionals, they'll say the same thing. It was highly stressful at that time. It drove a lot of people out of the medical profession. It was so stressful. So while a bunch of people were saying that COVID was a hoax, I was dealing with people dying in the parking lot of my hospital, people going into the hospital demanding IV vitamin C. I would show up with the hospice team at a door. Hospice is totally voluntary, okay? No, hospice doesn't go anywhere that they're not invited. I would show up at a door of somebody who was a mega conservative who's now dying. One day this guy answered the door and he's like, "Get the fuck off my porch." He was terrified that we were there to euthanize him, okay? That's the kind of misinformation and chaos and confusion people like me were dealing with. So I understand why families were afraid and paranoid and like, are we being controlled? Is this government control? And why this attorney was like, fuck yeah, it is. I'm getting in there and I'm suing that bitch governor because she can't, and maybe it's not all hickish like that, right? But that's what it felt like to people like us who were watching it play out in front of us, people dying in the parking lots, okay? It was terrifying. I never, ever, ever want to go back to that, okay? Ever. And it was the same with my veteran clients, okay? My veteran clients, when I worked at VA, because I worked at both places, I worked at VA and I worked in hospice. When I worked at VA, most of my guys that I was serving, and women, but at this time during the pandemic, I think I only had one woman client. All the rest were men. They were elders, some combat vets, some not. But veterans are very self-reliant. They're not people that come and say, I need help, I want a handout, right? They don't want, in fact, it bothers them. As a general rule, if you're coming in trying to help them, right? So I was almost to like begging my veterans to help them. I remember being fucking terrified to a traumatized degree that all of my ailing, aging veterans who had already suffered enough were going to drop dead from COVID because nobody was telling the truth about it. Everybody was sowing all kinds of chaos. That was so awful for me that it drove me out of my field, out of the VA, okay, in part. There was another reason too, but that was the main one. Then I go to hospice and it was even worse. So I'm sharing all of that to say, I get it why people were scared. I'm not saying that this is like the fact that these group of families decided to sue the governor is a conspiracy. That's not what I'm saying. I believe it's likely that they were scared and like, what is going on? What is this fascist government doing to us? It's forcing us to stay home. We can't, like, I get how people start thinking like that. So I'm not trying to cast this David Helm guy as like, he's a scoundrel, he's a fraud, he's a fake. I think his conduct is very suspicious though. I think it's highly suspect. I don't know what he's doing. What are you doing creating this whole little world or community of LawTuber commentary, international, critical, defending Brian Koberger? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, why were you creating all of this online content to try to get way ahead of the case in Brian Koberger and uphold that Brian Koberger is innocent and being railroaded? It wasn't the case. Why was that even happening? Why was that even a thing? Those are the questions that I'm asking. And Hella took that up. Hella was in that coverage of like, we think Brian Koberger is being railroaded. And so I don't know that she feels that way now, but that's the content. That's the narrative that they were putting out. To me, that's a lot of spin, especially from somebody outside of the US to care that much about Brian Koberger's life and whether Brian Koberger is being somehow railroaded by a dark forces that are out to get him. And like, it's like, huh? He's just a psychopath, okay, that murdered people brutally. Why is this outside the country YouTuber wanting to die on the Brian Koberger hill? To me, it makes no logical sense. That's why I'm floating these ideas of like, who are these people? What is this? What is going on? Okay. So that is me. That is not the Excited Utterance podcast. The Excited Utterance podcast has never once implied that the other Excited Utterance channel is that, okay? I did that. That is all me. I really want to make that clear. Don't go after the Excited Utterance podcast. They never asked me to boost them. I took that up myself and I chose that. And so that's all I'm just going to say about that. I'm done now. I just wanted to make my feelings clear about all that. And then if you're interested, if you're a part of that world that has been orbiting around the whole John Matthias, Megan Connor, all of that, now you know. This dude, Making Law Simple, is some big part of Hella and Dolly Talk, and I don't know if they're ever going to talk about why they've become a group, why they're in this alliance together, cranking out all this content with this certain type of theme. You'll have to ask them. I don't know. That's why I'm putting it out there, though, because I'm asking. And I'm saying, isn't this weird? Like, why does this person way over here? Maybe she has legit reasons. Maybe she's like, yeah, my family were attorneys, and I love that U.S. legal system broadcasts court trials. Maybe that's as simple as that. But I think I don't know. I think there's more to it. But I'm not crazy, okay? I'm open-minded. I'll just say that. I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded to that kind of thing. And now I'm going to put all that behind me. Let it go. Wish the Excited Utterance podcast well. Wish everybody else in that whole clusterfuck well. And I'm going to get on with my own shit and do my own reading here. So let's just see what wants to come out. Is there a legal conspiracy happening somewhere in the U.S.? Is there a conspiracy happening? Is there a global force that's trying to maintain world domination through the International Monetary Fund and Turning Point USA and the Ukraine and, what the fuck is that all? Because I just have to say this. I'm not the one that's put all those ideas out there. Those ideas are out there. Also, even the U.S. federal government during the 2016 elections the FBI was notifying the public there are foreign agents trying to interfere in our election. They're doing it by social media social media operations, fake accounts, bots coming in, getting people fighting, blah, 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 right? The federal government announced that to the public. So me taking up and questioning things like that, to me, is not paranoid. It's based in reality. It's based in the new world that we're living in, where there's no technological privacy. There's no identity privacy, any of that, right? So I don't think it's paranoid. If the Excited Utterance Legal Podcast doesn't want to associate itself with those kinds of speculations, they don't have to. We don't know each other. They can go on their way and keep doing their little micro legal world. That's fine, What do we need to know, Spirit? I'll just say too, upcoming, I'm going to have a guest on. A friend of close to 20 years now. We work together in community mental health. Their name is Nicole. I'm having them on. We're going to be talking about crypto and conspiracy a little bit, right? Crypto and another concept called the singularity, which is a mathematician theory out there right now about the way and the pace that tech is advancing, and that it's going to reach this event horizon called the singularity. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit, because we got exposed early on when we were in this workplace to somebody who was really into that idea and really out there promoting it, like the singularity's coming. So that'll just be some fun exploration. I wanted to do it because I'm creating some NFTs I created some NFTs and I'm launching them. And crypto's a world that the left hates, but that I'm interested in. So I thought, well, I'm going to cover it for a left audience, right? If they're interested. Sorry about the heater, it's too cold out. I can't turn it down. So, for whoever this reading is for in the collective, and these are general readings, so if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate with you, and you just have to leave it behind and realize that it's somebody else's story, or going to have meaning or use for someone else to listen to. And also, even if these aren't your stories, I love tarot because it addresses themes that are useful, okay, to people, even if it's not their actual story. So someone in the collective is really having a lot of self-doubt. They're questioning their intuition. They know that they need to arrive at some kind of a circumstance in life where there's, more balance for them in their lived experience, either monetarily or physically, like they're working too hard, or they're putting out too much money and not getting enough back, or there's something like that someone in the collective is feeling. And they're really feeling like, I need to batten down the hatches and hole up for a while and protect what I have. And I need to forget the rest. Because I'm not clear on what's going on. I'm confused. I'm very worried about my future. So I'm going to just shut it down, shut out the noise, close out the rest of the world, not really let much in, because I need to protect myself. That's where someone's at. And yeah, they're really doubting what's real and what's not. This person in the collective feels very out of their ability to access the truth. They feel really confused. You might even feel up against an injustice, like something happened to you that was a grave injustice that was handed down to you from some type of higher power. So that could be something like conspiracy, right? Like a governing body that made a decision about your life that's going to have massive ramifications. And it's been a big blow, and you're really worried, right? Like, what am I going to do? I've just got to try to hang on to what I have left after a legal decision like that or something, right? Somebody could be facing a big legal, let me see here with somebody lost a lot of money legally. That's what's going on. In a case, possibly. But it doesn't have to be a court case. Although a King of Swords is often an adjudicator, right? A decision maker of an official body. Yeah, whoever this message is for, they're very miserable. They feel really wrapped up in illusion. All kinds of confusion around them, self-doubt, either a feeling of injustice or an inability to access the truth. Totally feeling lost, this person is. And unhappy, lost in illusion, lacking everything, no grounding or grounding feeling, right? Like no ground under their feet. That's what I'm trying to say. No stability, no safety. And again, that's here with this card, is a feeling of like, I don't feel safe in my current circumstance, or I don't feel like there's an equal, although that's weird. That was a weird Freudian slip. An evil give and take. I don't feel like there's an equal give and take. That's what I meant to say. And yeah, the Emperor here now in reverse. So these are like three major power brokers, and they're all in the reverse. So we are talking here about something like power brokers fighting for control. Very much so. Power brokers fighting for control here. We have an Emperor in the reverse, a King of Pentacles in the reverse, and a King of Swords in the reverse. This is all masculine power, and it doesn't have to be literal, like gender. It doesn't have to be. It can be energetic. Just these power people are all in masculine energy. Masculine energy is active. It's going. It's doing. It's moving. It's taking steps, right? These people are all in the reverse, though, so that indicates to me that they're not behaving ethically. Okay, they're power abusers, and the folks in the collective here feel very lost in the illusion of it all, very lost in the illusion. So this could be something, again, like if we're speaking about government conspiracy. The public feels lost. The public can't tell what's real. We were just talking about COVID. That was straight up what was happening during COVID. No one knew what was true because the government Donald Trump was intentionally sowing paranoia by turning his own health director and making his health director seem politically motivated. It's like, dude, this is what he's tasked to do. He's a scientist, and he's saying this is based on the pattern of viruses and what we're seeing. These are the steps we need to take. It's too late to do something else, okay? That's at least how I took it. Other people took it, and Donald Trump maximized on this by saying, no, it's a conspiracy. This is all about a power grab, right? So I don't know how that comes into play with what I witnessed playing out in the parking lot and in people's homes in front of me, okay? Maybe it was a power grab through biological warfare, but people were dying, okay? It wasn't a hoax. It wasn't fake. People were dying from COVID, okay? And people were really confused and scared and unsure about what to do. And Donald Trump caused that. He didn't cause a feeling of we're going to get this under control. We've got this. We're going to listen to the doctors here. We're going to listen to science. We're going to do what's best. We're going to support us through this. We're going to come through this as a nation. He didn't do any of that. He made people intentionally afraid and confused, okay, to benefit himself in some way. So now what do we have coming? We have an opportunity, an Ace of Wands for some type of action for us in the collective. In spite of all of these power brokers in the reverse. What is that? What's the Ace of Wands coming our way? What's this opportunity that's coming our way? Because this collective is feeling very screwed over and at the mercy of these people. There's going to be an opportunity presented to us to work together in an alliance with someone. The person that is offering the alliance is being represented here as a Queen of Wands, but she's in the reverse. And the card of the Seven of Cups is also in the reverse, showing me that it's not a good option for the collective to take this opportunity up necessarily when it presents itself, which is interesting because it came in the upright. An Ace of Wands in the upright to me would indicate a positive opportunity, but when I asked to clarify it, it's saying it's a bad opportunity, right? So let me get more clarifiers on that now from another deck, because maybe there's something about it like it's a good opportunity but not as it's currently written, like a contract or something, and then you have to say, yeah, I'm interested in collaborating with you but not under this contract. This is a contract where I'm being screwed over, and so no thank you. If you want to negotiate, let's talk, but I'm not going to take this opportunity as it is. It could be something like that. What's this opportunity that's coming, and what's the warning about the illusion that's behind the opportunity? Yeah, thief, boom. There's someone, maybe it's going to be like somebody is going to say, let's collaborate, but then they're going to take off with your work and go publish it as a solo artist, right? And then you didn't do anything to protect it, so you're just out of luck. You got screwed over. It's a thief. Something about this offer is maybe slightly exploitational, or it benefits them far more than it benefits you. Ice King in the upright. Family in the reverse. So there's a thieving family, maybe, that is going to try to make an offer to this king in the upright, this Ice King. Divination in the reverse. So they might be, I don't know what that could mean. They might be lying to, like, this could be something too, like, a reader who uses readings just to profit, right? And not to actually help people, but to be like, yeah, I'll read you your cards and it says, ooh, someone's out to get you, but I don't know, I can't tell you anything else. Give me another $100 and I'll give you more. And then breadcrumbs the person. It could be a situation like that where this family comes in and is like, hey, we have this opportunity for you, bro, because we know you're good at this, so we want to offer you this. And then you're being advised, if you're this Ice King, to look deeper into the offer because it's not what it seems, or because they're like, if this Ice King is someone that believes in divination or consulting the stars or going to a reader or whatever, right? Many people do. Many people take in that kind of information to make decisions. Maybe he got the wrong story. Maybe the person is in cahoots, like maybe his reader is in cahoots with the people that are trying to steal from him or something, right? So it could be something like that. It could be something like that for you in the collective. Is that right, Spirit? Is it that you're being warned in this collective that there's somebody that is like a dark family or someone that you feel like you should trust? Because family is a group of people that ideally you should trust them. You should be able to trust your family, but it's here in the reverse and there's a thief involved, right? So, you know, not everybody's got healthy families. And it's kind of sounding like here, this family is secretly working against this Ice King. And there's like some false divination or bad divination work that happened somehow. Girl time in the reverse. To me, this speaks to that family. And there was this somebody's feminine, this is getting real specific for someone, so this is not going to be for everybody because I'm starting to zero in on somebody's very specific story. Someone, a masculine here, is in a family that has a lot of feminines. So this could be like my brother, right? Like my brother was the only brother, and he had all sisters, a lot of us, and he was the only brother. This is coming through saying that this masculine's women in his family around him are lying to him and they're manipulating him in some way through divination work. They're stealing from him. Yeah, Queen of Wands in the reverse, girl time in the reverse, and family in the reverse. And I am already intuiting and feeling that this person's family is working against them and totally fucking with this person's intuition and ability to see clearly. And that comes back to where we were. This is an Ice King. That would be an air sign, right? Here's this King of Swords, which would be an air sign. Okay, so they've got this king fucked up in his understanding about what's going on. Okay, so there's maybe divination work being done against him, maybe lying done to him to confuse him so he don't know what the truth is. Something. They're acting against him because they don't want him to know the truth about something. Okay, so this is very, very specific. And again, if you come from a family where you're like, what? My sisters are great, then this isn't for you. Okay, this is going to be a reading for somebody that is already like, my sisters, yeah, they are really catty and they do, you know, stuff like that. Okay, it's going to be for someone who's like, yeah, that could be me. This is sounding, it's ticking off some boxes here. That's how readings should feel. Okay, they should not feel like, what, the social worker is telling me that my family's out to get me. Wrong, I'm not saying that, okay? That's not what's going on here. So, what should this Ice King do now that this is being revealed in this reading? Somebody in their circle, it doesn't have to be blood family, but it's somebody that they consider to be family. The women, it could be like the coven or something with that high priestess in the reverse. It could be and divination in the reverse. They could be in this masculine could come from a coven or from a family of practitioners, right? And is not aware or is becoming aware that these women in his family are working against him for some reason. Maybe he supports them. Maybe he's thinking about moving away from them and they don't like it, right? Like, let's figure that out. Or not let's figure that out, but let's figure out what's advice for him, because that's the basic story. We don't need to really go into that anymore. So what's some advice for this situation, for this masculine? Because we were talking about conspiracy as a theme for legal, and now here is somebody's family conspiring against them, right, in some way. So what is the family conspiracy? What is this masculine, this Ice King's advice for dealing with the family that's conspiring against him? What's some advice for him? gonna have to do the whole, hey, could you cut it out? That's very obnoxious sounding. I'm going to do the whole layout here because the Queen of Wands showed up in this advice spread in the upright. So I want to make sure that I do the full layout then, so we're not getting confused about that person's actions and intentions or what that card is representing here. We'll add some clarifiers to it. And then the Lenormand. What's some advice for this king in terms of dealing with this family that's deceiving him? Okay. The first piece of advice for him is to stop engaging with them. So this will be for somebody that already suspects that that's what these feminine energies are doing in their family, is manipulating them, lying to them, working against them in some way behind the scenes, confusing them intentionally, withholding information from them intentionally, right? The first advice for that person is to stop engaging with them. It's don't cast your pearls before swine, because every time you're talking to them, they're sowing that confusion. So it's only making it worse. It's saying stop engaging with them. Stop listening to their version, even if you already doubt it, because their divination was in play. So these people might be doing divination work, like spell work in their words. They might be using spell work in their language, in their words, in order to get in your head and confuse you, right? Spell work is really trippy like that. It can have really weird effects. And it's saying don't engage with them right now because they're confusing you. Their words are maybe lies, okay, that are still penetrating, even though you're already kind of onto it. It's also saying it's creating confusion by talking to them anymore. So don't engage right now. I'm not saying forever. It's just saying right now. Your advice for right now, with all this confusion coming at you, don't engage right now because they're intentionally causing you confusion with this illusion. You can speak, right? If you're this king, you can speak your truth. You can sing to clear your throat and lift your spirits and make sure you're coming from a clear place. So that's a good advice for you too. Make sure your throat chakra is not blocked. Make sure you're doing good things for your communication to be clear, because there is so much illusion present. You don't want to end up somehow not taking your words seriously. So that's also important, that you as the king in the situation make sure that you are being clear and honest and direct and upfront and ethical and blah, blah, blah. But also don't engage with them right now because they're just fucking with you and manipulating you, it's saying. So in order to avoid that, stay connected to your own truth. Make sure that your own truth is clear. That's the key to breaking through the illusion and seeing through it, right? Because, sorry, I keep having to take my glasses on and off. Because right now you're being asked to have a low profile. You're being told to do the opposite. What you're wanting to do, because you're suspecting that these people are fucking with you, what you're wanting to do is confront them and be like, stop lying to me, stop fucking with me. Almost like what I was doing at the beginning of like, okay, I guess I got to confront this again. Maybe now what I need to do is stop confronting that whole issue, because it's not my issue. It's not my channel, or I mean, it's not my channel's content typically. It's not my life. I don't really care at the end of the day about John Matthias and Lauren Matthias and all them, right? So why would I be investing that much in it anymore? So that's what this is saying, is like, don't invest your energy in trying to get these lying feminine energies that are trying to deceive you. Don't invest in trying to convince them and fighting back and saying, no, you're not, you're messing up my words. That's not what I said. You're like, by engaging in that debate, they're stealing your energy. That's what it's saying. It's dragging you down. It's bogging you down. It's a distraction, and it's pointless because they're trying to deceive you. So trying to convince them or clear the air or get the they're not going to give it, and it's just robbing you of your energy. There is some opportunity coming in that you're following already on your path. And it's justice that's coming for you if you continue to follow that path and not be distracted down this path. Because the advice for you and where things is headed is justice in the upright. So you might be a Libra air sign, this Ice King, King of Swords air sign. Now we have justice and where things is going in the upright. You might be a Libra. And it's saying find and be with your loyal and devoted community of support. So stop investing in trying to convince these people. Stop investing in trying to understand what they're saying. Stop investing in it because they're stealing your energy and they're manipulating you is what is coming through. And you already suspect this, okay? This is confirmation that that's what's happening. They're fucking with your head. They're keeping you engaged. They're doing things intentionally to trigger you so that you get set off and get back into it with them and don't move forward in your other direction, which is right here. They're trying to prevent that. They're trying to tell you, you can't trust that, it's a fraud, right? Or you should end that, it's bad for you. Come work with us, we're the fiery ones. We're the, right? Everything that came through in that first layout. And it's saying, stop engaging with them, find and be with your loyal and devoted community of support and communicate with those people. Stop wasting your energy trying to convince this old situation. That's your advice. So, I think that's going to do it. I will pull a final oracle card for that. Ice King, Air Sign King, masculine energy that's facing those manipulators that are close to him. These are people that are close to you. They're people that you wouldn't, that's probably why it's so triggering, is because they've always been close, like family. So it's not easy to give up. You want to, of course you want to convince, you want to get in there, you want to try to figure it out, you want to get after it because it's family, you go way back, you all this history, right? It's still saying no, don't. If you want to get the clarity that you feel like is missing, stop engaging with them because they're intentionally confusing you. So, okay, oracle card. I decided I was going to pull an oracle card for you to wrap that up. And then I will ask questions. I'll take any questions from the chat. If anyone in the chat wants to ask me a tarot question, feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat and I'll ask it for you. Otherwise, that's going to close this out. This will be a final card for that Ice King, King of Swords. What's a final message for you? Final message for that king that was being manipulated by some people in his family. Deep knowing, and it's card 43. So I'm going to read Colette Baron Reed's description because I like her writing. Card 43, and you can see there's an owl using his wisdom to overcome the illusion of that lunar energy that showed up in the first spread, right? It came out twice. The moon came out twice. So that indicates to me a lot of deception, a lot of feminine deception. And again, as a feminist, normally I'm a lover of the moon and I love to dance under the moon, right? So it's not, I'm not trying to badmouth women here, but this is as it came out for this masculine. He's got some pretty shady feminine energies around him. Deep knowing, card 43, this is his final message. Intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with Source, the consciousness that you are a part of but cannot see with the naked eye. It's perplexing that people are taught to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to access their inner guidance. Know that you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. Fuck, that's exactly what that layout said, right? This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available in the limitations of human experience. You're given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or five senses, but which is 100% correct and true. The trick is to listen and then to act accordingly. You're now invited into this sacred dialogue of deep knowing. So tune in and trust your vibes. They will be right. Ask and you will receive the answers from unusual sources. There are occasions when you just know, deep in your heart, that a person is going to play a meaningful role in your life. Someone crosses your path and suddenly, out of the blue, you're connected at a level impossible to describe. That feeling marks a moment in time etched indelibly onto your soul. Someone entered your life who will be instrumental in your journey, so pay attention. Two hearts are calling to each other to begin an alchemical process. This is also a sign that your intuition about the person you care about is correct. Trust your heart to lead you now. Magic is about to happen. So that's great advice because it's really complements the message nicely that we said earlier. So I know I'm on kind of an intense energy today. It's because I didn't expect to wake up and see that podcast had deleted it. And it made me react in a lot of ways because I put a lot of emotion into the live that I did that shared that work. And so I had to recover, right? And think about, what do I think that means? Why did they do that? I'm embarrassed. Should I not have done that? Should I not have shared, just whatever, right? So now I just am going to scroll in the chat. If anyone put a question in there for me to ask, I'm happy to ask it now. And otherwise I'll just, Jesus Christ, Daniel, that is fucking intense. Daniel Mason says, I got tricked into climbing Snowdonia, North Wales, and left in a full-scale snowstorm to die alone. No signal, no help, just closed roads at the bottom. That is fucking terrifying. I'm a Virgo all the way from the UK. My sister is blatantly paying my friends to leave me stuck and eventually dead. Jesus, I am sorry, dude. Thank you for the confirmation, though. And I hope that reading helped you, that it gave you some good, solid advice that you can follow. I'm sorry. That sounds brutal. So I didn't see any other questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end this general reading and live stream. Thank you for being here. And now that I've exercised all of my emotion around that whole situation, I just want to have more open-hearted energy again to just say thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for liking and subscribing if you like my work. And I'm going through a little bit of growing pains with my channel of trying to decide, do I want to cover things like this or do I just want to keep it straight to tarot and my own creative work? And I don't have the answers yet. I don't know. So I'm just going to keep doing this whenever it feels right, I guess, and stop trying to dictate what I should be doing or not doing and just get a little bit more in the flow with it. And if I want to do a reading like this, that's fine. If I don't have to, right? It's weird when you've been employed for so long. It's weird how you have to even kind of kill the boss in your own head. Like I'll get into thinking like, I've got to do my channel. I haven't, just as if my boss is writing me about it. And it's like, no one's writing me but me. Like, I need to do my channel and be consistent if I want it to grow. But Jesus, I don't have to, I'm not the boss here. I'm not the foreman. Like, I can take the day off if I want. So it's weird. Working for myself is a whole trip. So anyways, sending you love. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. And I'll see you next time.